your place for the coolest and spiciest news. Today's story is the Canadian government's new garlic bread budget. Just over a year ago, in April 2022, the Canadian government released their new federal budget for this year. This budget, developed by the Minister of Finance, Chrystia Freeland, has had a lot of controversy surrounding it as of late. Today, we're going to dive into where Minister Freeland went right and where she went wrong. Starting this year, a large sum of money will be put towards the housing industry. This includes an expansion in affordable housing, with $1.5 billion going towards making 6,000 new affordable housing units. This appears to be a big move against the housing crisis, as the homeless population in Canada continues to increase. However, this money appears to have been leveraged from the transit funds, which were going to be going towards cleaner public transportation to be provided within the next decade. Along with investments, there are going to be new policies being put in place to help the housing industry. This includes preventing corporations and foreign investors from buying residential properties over the next 2 years, as well as everyone selling a property within 12 months of buying it is subject to full taxation as business income. These two policies affected or would affect a company, though not located in Canada, called Zillow, a housing real estate property listing site located in the US. For 3 years, they had a house flipping business where they would use an algorithm to find houses to buy, buy them, and then resell them for a higher price. Unfortunately, due to lack of ability to sell them, this part of their business went down the drain very quickly, and they ended up losing a large sum of money to it. It had to be shut down in 2021, late 2021. And regardless of this company not having this business anymore, not being in the house flipping business, it still affected residential home buying. This lack of availability for residential homes, even if only temporary, still affected the housing market. Though the investments for affordable housing are positive, other housing investments could lead to further increase in market prices, like the new home buyers initiative, for example. There will be $1.5 billion invested into new affordable housing this coming year. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's a good kind of investment because I think we need our houses and still the housing prices. Yeah.
I think that's very important for that amount of money to be put into making sure that more people have more homes.
I think affordable housing is really important, especially for people who need a house and can't afford one, and they end up on the streets, and then that just raises the addiction rates.
With what happened in the last 2 years with how much crap's gone on, it might be an issue down the road if we don't have backup funds, I guess.
Personally, I think it's a very good idea, specifically seeing how there's a big crisis surrounded around housing.
Yes, affordable housing is so important. So many people are getting their wages cut and getting their hours cut just for the wrong reasons. Either they have maternity leave, or if they have COVID and they have to miss a couple days, and they get a lot less money for that kind of thing. So affordable housing is unbelievably important.
I think housing might have
Housing crisis.
Yeah.
Right, of course.
Next coming years, so they definitely should be rushing this a bit more. Yeah.
Okay, good. Do you think full taxation on property sales is necessary and should be considered business income or something else?
No, not really.
Okay, so I think taxing someone on a lot of things can be reduced.
I don't really know, to be honest.
I think a lot of taxes can be reduced because I think a lot of the profit that's gotten from taxes doesn't go into helping people, it goes into building someone's bank account. I think more times than less.
Maybe a new taxation, I think.
But I think the kind of profit that you get from something like that is something that should be put more into how, say, people having more affordable housing.
Absolutely. Right,
yeah.
focusing on taxing the profit rather than the actual house. Okay. That'd be interesting. Okay. Will the money have been better spent on transit than housing?
Probably not. I mean, people can walk. They have generally people have legs.
Probably. I feel like that.
No, because I guess no.
I think transit has a good amount of profit coming out of it.
The pricings right now is probably just going to keep going. The housing prices are probably just going to keep going up, and so that's probably going to affect whether or not people can buy houses. But I don't know. It's probably not going to make it any better because they're just going to find ways to get around it, like every other law.
Specifically in Canada, our transit is getting much better, but our housing problems is what's really hitting us hard.
And you can't really that's normal to have legs. This is, but housing is something really different where it's like you have to like purchase it or make it yourself. So it's not like walking places where you automatically have that.
So I think just investing more into housing for now, and focusing on transit a little bit better will help us in the near future.
I think affordable housing might be more important because as much as nowadays you need transit, I think people need housing a bit more.
New policies being put in place to prevent corporations and foreign citizens from buying residential homes. Do you think it'll be any easier to buy a house in 7 to 8 years once all these policies have been fully put in place?
I don't think it'll affect much, at least in 7 or 8 years. I think it might affect the market overall, in like just the grand scheme of things, but I don't think within that short amount of time it's going to affect anything that much.
There is a big problem with corporations just buying housing and just leaving it there like vacant.
Mm-hmm.
And I
I think that as much as it will be easier in some ways, I think it'll be a lot harder in other ways.
it's very troubling because there's so many people who do need houses that just can't buy them because these tech companies and like big companies are just buying housing and leaving them there. So yeah, I think it's a good thing.
People right now are going to be buying houses and then not having to pay as much for them as it goes along. But to buy a house that isn't already like having everything paid for by someone in front of you, it's kind of harder. I think it'll be harder. As much as there's going to be more housing, I think it's going to be harder because people are going to try to buy more land because we're going to run out of land. There's going to be so much residential housing everywhere. It's going to be hard to get more land.
Hey Alex, look at the camera.
Okay, go on.
You're on film. Oh yeah. Thank you. What a good boy.
Similar to 2021's budget, this budget focuses heavily on climate change. A big part of this is their investment in electric vehicles, or EVs. There are plans to make further incentives towards buying EVs, as well as creating a national charging network for electric vehicles in Canada. In the US, there is already one of these, created by Tesla. Their supercharging network spans across all 50 states in the US. US Tesla supercharging network has over 30,000 locations set up, and while there are some supercharge stations in Canada, just about 100, it's not near to the extent that they've set up in America. As the EV market continues to grow, they need clean energy to power them. It does too. There are plans to invest in clean electricity, net zero technology, and just tons of money poured into cleaner energy alternatives, as that's what we need right now. Clearly, thanks government. Love you guys. We talked to some more teenagers about climate change and how they think it affects them and their future. Do you think the government is doing enough to fight climate change?
Yeah, I feel like they're doing a good job, especially with eliminating plastic waste and trying to protect the ocean.
No way, no how.
Most definitely, they haven't done much right now, but they're planning to do a lot in the future. So I think so, yeah.
Right, keeping up as much as they can.
No. Yeah, there's a long ways to go, and we have a lot of, clean energy, but we're not actually using it.
No, a lot of the people on top of this country and a lot of the people that are supposed to be helping this country with climate change are saying, basically, oh, it's gonna go with this. No, the government is not doing as much as it should.
We're shipping it off to other countries, and we're buying electricity made from coal and gas from the U.S.
They are investing in oil companies. There are a lot of people, and they're not investing into things like solar.
No. Politicians are greedy. They don't care. What? It's true. Yeah, politicians are greedy and they don't care as long as they're getting money. So no.
You're purchasing an EV with the new statements on their thumb, and if not, what's stopping you?
Maybe, but like I said earlier, with what we're doing with our electricity, I don't think so.
Electric vehicle.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely, yeah.
I'm assuming this is hypothetically where I can drive.
This is hypothetical where you can drive and you can afford a car.
Yes, an electric vehicle, I would absolutely purchase an electric vehicle. I think they're doing a lot better for the world than gasoline.
I mean, it really depends on who's manufacturing the car, for me.
Oh.
Because I'm not gonna go out and get a Tesla because some of them blow up and I don't feel like blowing up.
It's very in between, you know. It could affect some stuff, but it's still not changing much from fossil fuels to burn.
But if it's a car that's proven to lower the gas emission rates, is that right? Hopefully, then I would look into it.
And I've actually been trying to convince my mom to buy a hybrid at least.
Yeah, no, a hybrid's really
Especially with gas prices. Yeah, they're going up so much. Yeah, electric vehicles are the change.
Yeah. All right. And even with the government investments into fighting the climate crisis, what can we do to ensure we're contributing as little as possible?
I guess just focus on if something's not needed, then don't do it. Be as not minimalistic, but simplistic as possible.
Easy. First of all, carpooling. So many people are getting cars and they're driving by themselves and they're wasting gas. Carpooling. People should start getting more bus passes instead of getting cars on their own. Start investing into hybrids where you can use both gas and electricity.
I think exporting less of our electricity and using it more here. We are already working on deforestation, stopping deforestation, and we're growing more trees. So I think we're doing a bit.
Good answer.
Yeah, same.
Stop buying fast fashion, I think, is a big one. For people, especially companies like Shen or Ardeen, or Arden, however you want to pronounce it. French people are weird. I feel like stop buying fast fashion is something that people can do to help, especially because it costs a lot to produce it and it's unethical a lot of the time.
Right.
And thrifting, buying old stuff instead of putting stuff new into the environment, I think is really helpful. Also, it's cheap. I love thrift stores.
So quit using so much air conditioning, use things like fans. Less littering. That's so bad. Less pollution to the earth. People should stop supporting a lot of oil companies and a lot of big businesses. Start going with more agriculturally friendly businesses.
Despite the intention to reduce carbon emission, there's next to no coverage in the budget of the fossil fuel industry, which many have found quite strange. Fossil fuels are a huge contributor to global warming and climate change, and actively works against the goal of clean electricity and clean power. The reason for this is unknown, and there haven't been any statements on it. There have been talks of the government working with these companies to further their own agendas, but none of these statements have been confirmed as of now. There will be a load of tax changes towards recognition of travel and temporarily relocation expenses of those working in the trade industry. As trades are a very important industry to our world, it's good to see further support towards them. In this vein, there will be funding going towards a training and innovation program set to help thousands of apprentices from underrepresented groups begin careers in trades. This will open up paths to many minorities that are looking to enter the career in the industry. Following this trend of tax cuts, small business cuts will be phased out at a higher capital rate, starting at 50 million rather than 15 million. This makes a huge difference for small businesses looking to grow and will allow them to get on a solid trajectory before being bombarded with high tax rates. A large investment towards the national defense has been outlined in the budget, with just under $10 billion. Sorry, this is stressing me out. Going towards the armed forces and the DoD. Banger, right? Yeah, totally. This is set to include continental defense, ally commitment, and investments into new equipment and technology to increase our Army's capabilities.
To defend against the alien.
Billions, baby.
What are your thoughts on billions of dollars being poured into
National defense.
Definitely kind of unneeded.
I think that it's unnecessary.
I guess I feel like it should be invested in other areas, but it's good enough. Like it.
I mean, they could be put to better use, especially with Canada. We're not really fighting anyone right now, so I feel like they could be put to better use.
Money like that should be put into helping other countries instead of making it. Well, I think that's a big problem actually. People are saying, okay, we need to put in so much money to defend our country when if these people attack, instead of what can we do to make sure that they don't, instead of what should we do in these things.
I think it could be better used elsewhere. We're not really a militant country.
I guess there's so many different things that they could focus on, like housing again, homelessness, like the homeless like problem in like I guess North America, that there aren't really like, because in Canada I don't think we really need all that like military. That's definitely not our
the current state of our country.
Yeah, I know that's not really our thing.
But it's good to have defense as long as you're not putting too much into the defense.
I mean, it is good, but I don't think a ton is necessary.
And we should focus more on like, you know, giving people homes and like, again, climate change. They
Yes,
promote with that.
absolutely. All right.
Like put it, relief missions. A lot of people should be putting money into making sure that other countries are in like are peace. There's peace between them. Peace is the good thing of the world. But people putting so much money into defending a country is really not necessary if there's no country that you need to be defending against.
What are some other relevant areas that the money could be put into that are still semi-related to national defense and security?
More like videos focusing on the problems that we like are facing in Canada,
Right. So
Yeah.
we're learning about them.
and like informing people about them. Yeah.
I don't know. Cybersecurity. That's not bad. Cybersecurity is super important.
Like more diplomats. I think a lot more diplomats should be put out. I think a lot more relief missions should be put out. I think we should be sharing a lot of the wealth that we do have.
I mean, we could do better training for like police officers would be something, or better training for basically like first responders.
Social programs, things to help, you know, recovering addicts, maybe housing for the homeless.
Probably like maybe educational like videos.
Community outreach.
Absolutely.
Because that's kind of like it's related to defense, but it helps with lowering crime rates within like a certain community instead of a huge span of land. So I feel like that would be a big one.
I think a lot of the money should go more into healthcare, into paying teachers and the people around us better so that they can educate.
$436.2 million will go towards further preparation of detection of public health threats or emergencies. This will include the expansion of our risk assessment capabilities and our Q surveillance within Canada's public health agency. Many have found this quite relevant in the recent and ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Announced in the budget is a large sum of money going towards a review of the digitalization of money. However, due to regulation issues on cryptocurrency, research on it has been discouraged, to say the least. Dogecoin, I will. This, along with volatility and climate issues, are both reasons many have found that implementing crypto into everyday life could be detrimental. For example, Bitcoin, I'm sure you've heard of it, a very popular cryptocurrency, dropped from $84,000 Canadian a coin down all the way down to $44,000 from November 2021 to about mid-January 2022. That's a $40,000 drop. And that kind of, potential volatility in the coin is why people are like, maybe that's not a great idea. Just think about it, government. You gotta consider. Hold on, this hat is kind of uncomfortable. In terms of climate change, Bitcoin mining. Alright, Bitcoin mining, the process of solving extremely complicated math problems in order to verify transactions in the currency across the blockchain uses up immense amounts of power. Per one Bitcoin mine, 191 tons of carbon dioxide are produced. Are produced. Mining the equivalent monetary value in gold only produces a substantially lower 13 tons of carbon dioxide. The dispute around this topic makes it a negative for many. Plans have been put in place to reduce the cost of childcare, giving women more time and opportunity to thrive in the business world. The goal is $10 a day by 2025. But this plan seems to have no mention of improving childcare worker benefits, or pensions, or salaries. Without the workers necessary, this boost in the childcare industry and funding and accessibility won't be beneficial. Because if you don't got workers, then what's the point of making the childcare industry so huge? You're not gaining anything. Another very important thing to note in this budget is the further money going towards an LGBTQ action plan, act against systemic racism and discrimination, and more money going towards minority group programs. This is a big step towards further equality for all people, regardless of who you are. Quick interview segment right here.
Do you think there's still heavy discrimination around minority groups today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is no. I'm a white woman, and I have seen my friends around me face discrimination because of their color, because of their gender, because of their sexualities, because of their gender identity. I've seen so much of that.
Most definitely, yeah. But it's getting much better.
Oh yeah. I've gotten dead named multiple times just in the last 30 minutes, so yeah.
Yes. I feel like I'm less qualified to understand some of that discrimination. I guess so.
As a woman, I have been discriminated against, but it's nothing compared to what a lot of minorities have to go through, especially with disabilities and with different circumstances around. There's so much discrimination nowadays.
I definitely think there is a fair bit still going on.
What are some particular things that us and the government can do to more directly support minority groups?
Give more notice to them and like more not positive, like more like just informational notice.
Oh, I think a lot more education should be put around, and people who are discriminatory should be held accountable.
Better education in schools probably is a big one, especially around the LGBTQ community. Because a lot of people just don't understand like the weight behind dead naming someone or the F slur.
I guess representation, inclusion, I guess, in like media. Yes.
Educating people, stopping people from having. You can only really discriminate against someone if you have dehumanized who they are.
Just this is happening. Some things that you do to like help. Oh, this is like, well, I guess like more like, oh yeah, like public reminders or whatever. Yeah.
A lot of people get away with a slap on the wrist because of who their parents are, who they're related to, who their friends are with. People should be held accountable for the mistakes that they make.
Or stuff like that, or the N-word even. A lot of white people don't understand like how like discriminatory it is to use that word. So better education is a big one because I feel like if people understood, then they maybe would avoid being racist or homophobic or transphobic.
Right? So just educate people on their needs and try and work with them basically to improve unconscious bias and stuff like that.
This budget has made progress in a ton of areas. Hopefully, those will show more prominently over the next coming decade. With all these highlights mentioned, as well as the potential downsides of this budget, there's still a good number of things missing. A fairly big one is the complete and utter lack of disabled people, and support for them. Alright?
The lack of disabled.
The lack of mention of the Disability Benefit Act, or a Canada Disability Benefit. This was promised to be reintroduced by the government as they came into power. However, there's been no talk of it. Kinda sketchy, if you ask me. Don't let this taint your view though, as the big investments into dental care are a huge win for people and Canadians, as dentistry is not cheap. It's really not. I know you might think, oh, it can't be that expensive. Though just the cleaning isn't too bad. You know, once you get filling and tooth removal, it starts to add up. Okay, right? Like filling is like $600 or something. That's a lot of money. Do you have $600? No, probably not. Probably not lying around spent on dental care. I doubt it. All right. Families under $70,000, median income under $70,000. And without children under 12, will get free dental care, and that will increase to children under 18 by 2023. Many families under $70,000, children under 12, and eventually children under 18 will get free dental care starting this year, I believe. Most COVID support programs are also winding down as the pandemic era slowly comes to a close. Decreasing from last year's $17.7 billion in COVID relief funds, it's been going down to, guess what, $400 million this year. Solid. Let's go. Let's go, government. Woo. Huge fan. This cut back in COVID costs will allow more money to be allocated to other domains. Further improvements include shortening of surgery and medical procedure backlogs. Very beneficial to those who have been on a waitlist for years for a seemingly quite simple procedure. It's crazy. Like people wait for like what 5-10 years for like heart transplants. That's a long time. I cannot imagine.
They'd probably be dead.
Exactly. The huge focus on housing is great to see, especially through the taxation of corporations buying residential houses. It's hoped that this will help with Canada's homelessness rate and help new buyers actually, get houses, not have to buy apartments. Even apartments. It's hard to find an apartment these days for any decent price. But it's like, oh man, we're gonna buy like 50 houses and resell them for way too much. Unfortunately, this budget isn't perfect, as nothing ever is. Bloody. Alright. Come here. Let me do the newscast. Come on. What about? Okay. The substantial investment in the army would appear to be quite unnecessary by some, as we've been primarily peacekeepers for many decades now. I believe it'd be better if we were to reduce the investments, and focus that money toward ongoing peacekeeping missions and allies that we're a part of right now, in terms of both the UN, United Nations, and NATO. And this is still count towards our defense investments required by NATO. NATO requires us to invest 2% of our GDP every year towards defense, right? But actually hitting that 2% would require far higher taxation. Right now we're hitting like 1.37% of like, and we're already pouring a lot of money into our military, like relative to our GDP. You'd be surprised. Look it up. You got Google that. You got it. So there are a variety of pros and cons in this year's budget. I believe overall it was thought through and covers necessary areas as well as it can, considering Canadian government. There will always be room for improvement, but the effort put in is noticed. That's all for this story and this day. And have a spicy Wednesday. Okay. Alright. Hey buddy!
Right. Okay, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Yo, what is this? Why is it?
With over 30,000 locations.
Okay, let's go. That's all very good. You have a good day. Thank you.
Yeah,
Be
yeah.
safe.